Hey guys, it's good to see you all again. I'm glad to be back, and we're going to give you another Bible story this morning, and I hope that you get something out of it and that you understand what Miss Doty's trying to explain to you. You know, when I was a little girl, there was a disease that people could get. It was called polio. Now, you get shots for that now, so you never have to worry about getting it. But my friend Eric got it, and he was crippled. That meant he couldn't walk. He couldn't run through the woods like we could do. He couldn't do a lot of the games that we like to do. And we felt so bad for Eric because he couldn't. And we tried so hard to include him in some things that he could do because we really liked him and he was a really nice guy. I don't know how Eric, if he got better or not, because my dad got a different job and we had to move away. So I don't know. But my grandmother and I used to pray for him and hoping that one day he would be able to walk and run like we could. Well, in this story that I'm going to tell you about, it's friends who also cared about somebody who couldn't walk. And back in those days, if you couldn't walk, you didn't have TV to watch while you were in your bed. You didn't have video games to play. You didn't have any of that. I don't know what you would possibly do back in those days that would make you feel useful or happy or any of that kind of thing because you couldn't walk. So his four friends really cared about him, and they wanted to do something to help him, just like I wanted to help my friend Eric. And so they heard that Jesus was coming to town, and they had also heard that Jesus was able to heal people, and they were very excited about it. Now remember, this is back in Jesus' days. There's no buses, there's no cars, there's no taxis, there's no way to do anything the easy way. Everything's harder because that's all the people had. And so what they did was they knew Jesus was coming. They knew where he was going to be. They decided to make a way to carry their friend. So they took like this big blanket, and the four friends each took a corner. They laid their friend down on the blanket and lifted it up and started carrying him to where they thought Jesus was going to be. And they were right. He was right where they thought that he was supposed to come to be. And so they carried their friend, but when they got there, they were so disappointed. Jesus was in a house with some people, but the house was full of people. You couldn't get another person in there. They all wanted to hear what Jesus had to say. They all wanted to know about this loving God in heaven. They all wanted to hear all the stories that Jesus knew and could tell. And also, people had also heard that he could heal. And so some of the sick people, I'm sure, were there looking in the windows and stuff. Well, their friends were really disappointed to see that they weren't going to be able to get their friend close to Jesus. But then they saw something. Now, the people's houses back in those days weren't like our house. You know, our houses have roofs that have a point on them, and if you tried to climb on the roof, you'd just slide off. It's not a good place to be. But back in those days, the roofs were flat, and they were flat. That's just the way they were built. And also, the people used to use the roof because sometimes when it would get so hot, they would sleep at night up on the roof. So they had stairs on the outside of their house that would take them up to the roof. So the men thought about it and they said, we could get Jesus up. We could get the man to Jesus if we could get up on the roof and then open the roof up a little bit and lower him down. So here they are, the four guys having to carry their friend up the steps. Can you imagine trying to carry someone who can't walk with a blanket up the steps? It was pretty hard, I'm sure. And they got to the top of the steps and they got on the roof and they said, you know, this plan can really work. So they opened up the roof by just ripping at the roof, just a big enough hole that they could lower their friend down. Now, you know, Jesus knows everything. He knows the beginning, the middle, and end of everything. And I bet he was smiling as he saw pieces of roof falling down on top of him. They wouldn't have hurt or anything, but I think he was very pleased with those men because they cared enough and they believed that Jesus could heal their friend. They wouldn't have gone through all that if they didn't believe. So that was awesome. So anyway, I'm sure Jesus was smiling. And they lowered their friend down very carefully down in front of Jesus. And of course, you know the story. Jesus immediately healed the man. and told him that his sins had been forgiven. And the man got up and he was so happy. Now think about the guys up on the roof. I bet they were dancing for joy up there. They were so happy that their friend could do all the things that they could do. And he could have a life that was outside of his house, not staying in bed or in a chair all day. That was the kindness of these men who really, really cared. And it was the caring of Jesus that also was involved in all this. He cared and loved this man and did this wonderful thing of healing his legs so that he could have a life. And so this is the Jesus that we know and love. This is the Jesus that we can pray to. This is the Jesus who cares about you and cares about me. And so I want you to remember that. I want you to remember how he loves us. And you can always depend on him. And when things get bad or you have a problem and you talk it over with Jesus, believe me, that's the thing to do. So I want you to remember that story because it's a good one. So I love you guys. Hope to see you. Oh, Miss Cindy's going to be here next week to give you this story. So be sure and watch, okay? I love you guys. See you soon. Bye.